High-speed changes in technology, changes in media, and declining prices have resulted in a rapid growth in excess electronic waste around the globe. An estimated 50 million tons of e-waste are produced each year. A good percentage of these electronics go directly into landfills and incinerators. Electrical waste contains hazardous but also valuable and scarce materials. In the United States, an estimated 70% of heavy metals in landfills come from discarded electronics. Recycling raw materials from end-of-life electronics is the most effective solution to the growing problem of e-waste. These electronics contain several materials that can be recovered and reused. By demanufacturing and making reuse possibilities available, we can conserve natural resources and stop pollution from hazardous dumping. Today, electronic waste recycling businesses like GoodPoint have sprouted up in all areas to battle the growing problem of e-waste.
There's three problems. One is that wealthy countries are so rich that even if a CRT monitor lasts for 25 years, we want a new one after 3 or 4 years.
Everything's changing so fast and everybody has to have the latest electronics.
We want to get something wider, flatter, faster, better, and toss the old ones out.
U.S. people feel they need to be in that situation.
But the second problem is that there's 6 billion people in the world who are actually getting online onto internet faster, at a faster rate of growth than the rich countries. But they're making $3,000 per year. They can't afford to buy a brand new one.
E-waste has leads, I think there's arsenic, there's a bunch of different types of chemicals that are in e-waste. Part of the fear is that if the chemicals get into a dump or get smashed on the ground, that can leach into water supplies.
What Fair Trade Recycling does is say, hey, instead of paying these people in the poor countries to mine rainforests to make brand new ones for us to throw away, why don't we use the funding from recycling them in the rich countries to spend the extra time, hire a few extra people to take care of the 20% of them that still work.
It's more than adequate if say, a child in Mexico or Peru or someone doesn't have access to the internet, and just by supplying this cast-off part that somebody just wanted to get rid of, they can have access or use it in their schoolwork or use it to study.
Recycling electronics would be as easy as recycling from a blue box. There's steel, there's aluminum, there's copper, and there's plastic.
The green boards, the chips, power supplies.
And there's glass, just like recycling in your house. But the problem is that all of those parts are attached by 15 different types of screws.
Everything has a recycling stream that it goes to. And our job here is to break it down into those categories and then take it to other places that know how to handle it once it gets broken down to that portion of the electronic.
Most of our competitors in the US are saying is, forget it, we'll just run it through a shredder, chop it all up, and let the magnets try to sort the stuff out. The problem is if you don't do it by hand, you're going to wind up destroying that 20% that could be used.
Aside from reuse in new and repaired electronics, products and materials have been used in art, jewelry, vanities, and furniture.
When I first started the company 10 years ago and I was the only employee, I was astonished that I collected 165,000 pounds. And after a year of that, hired my first employee. This year with our contracts in 6 states, we got 8 million pounds at the end of 2012. We tell people that there's 2 types of devices, anything with a cord and cordless. If it's electronic and you don't know what to do with it, either have one of our recycling events in your town to collect it from everybody, or better yet, set up a permanent depot.
So we have basic electronics recycling where we collect from municipalities from around the state or larger businesses.
And what we really like doing is working with other charities, traditional reuse charities like Goodwill Industries, Salvation Army.
We also offer secure asset recovery, where if somebody has data, hard drives, tapes, anything that they want to securely dispose of, we'll take that, we'll go through, we'll wipe it, we'll destroy it depending on what the customer wants, we'll inventory it, the customer will get a reconciliation report on on that.
With the number of electronic recycling companies and the services they provide growing so rapidly, organizations have been established to regulate fair trade recycling.
It started with people like myself who were in the business that didn't like the idea of boycotting people overseas, but we didn't want to be accused of dumping waste on them and abusing them either.
WR3A is like probably one of the best that I know of.
Ultimately, you can't have the people doing the trade just be themselves swearing that they pledge to do the right thing.
E-Cycles is part of the local government that actually gets money from all the manufacturers, and they oversee all the different people that do the recycling of electronics.
With these organizations in place to regulate recycling, companies like GoodPoint are able to expand their business.
We pick up from some really nice stuff from universities, colleges, surplus property offices, banks that like the way we take care of hard drive information.
We do the whole Northeast.
And I started off just driving from town to town locally here in the surrounding counties. Here we are 11 years later. We have 40 employees and have facilities in Arizona, in Rhode Island, and Long Island. Lots of different partners collecting for us.
We're constantly expanding into more markets.
The first thing when something comes in is to make sure that the truck gets emptied so it can get back and collect from somebody else.
We unload and do all our weights on it. And then we go through a sorting process where we sort the electronics into different categories, depending on what we're going to do with them.
The first set of people who get the material when it comes into our building are looking at, is it good enough to go to an expert, or is this so old that even if it works, nobody would want it?
And then they move from that sorting process into the different demanufacturing stations in our factory. Whether it be a TV or a monitor, that all kind of goes through the same type of demanufacturing process where you remove the plastic and the metals and break it down to the different categories. Either it will go and get baled. If it's, say, plastic, the metal gets baled, the aluminum gets put into bales.
We've now got 2 people who do nothing but look at LCD flat screen TVs. And when they take them apart, they're looking for the pieces that can be reused again in a repair shop. We've got people who are looking at vintage and antique equipment and finding collectors online.
And the glass tubes get stacked and wrapped, and that's something we don't handle here. That goes to a company that strictly does glass.
Once electronics are processed, categorized, or broken down, they are shipped to people that handle that specific material in numerous regions around the globe.
Overseas to places like Cairo in Egypt, or Lima in Peru, Penang in Malaysia, Jakarta in Indonesia, Guangzhou, China. The more we grow, the better job we can do with each piece that comes in.
With the problem of e-waste quickly increasing, businesses like GoodPoint Recycling that are certified and regulated to ensure safe, responsible, and ethical recycling are extremely important. So do your part and call or come down to GoodPoint Recycling today.